This happened to my uncles when they were driving a truck overnight in Mexico. They didn't stop to see what it was because there were no lights on the road. My uncle on the passenger side saw this devilish creature that looked like a dog climbing closer to the cabin of the truck. They said the thing was huge. My uncle started screaming in fear when they saw it and said they tried to shake it off the truck, but it wouldn't fall off until they hit it against a tree on the opposite side of the road. They kept driving all night to the morning, all freaked out. Now, when they got to a gas station in a village, they saw gash marks and hand and animal prints on the windows where it was trying to get in and on the back of the trailer. They told their story to some of the villagers, and in turn, the villagers told them that these dogmen-like demons roamed the area, and they were not the only ones who have been attacked before. They were so freaked out, the hair on their arms rose every time they told this story. They said they never drove through Central America besides the cities or villages at night ever again. I wish I could have recorded them telling their stories. And they've died already, but before they died, they stuck with what happened to them, and they never did any drugs. From MysteriousUniverse.org.
A black limousine pulled up to my car, and the rear window went down. I saw a beautiful black German Shepherd sitting there in the back of the limousine next to the open window. I could see the dog's head, but not his body. I was looking at the dog and smiling, and the dog was smiling back at me. He looked intelligent, and he was clean and well-groomed. I thought the owner of the limousine had a very beautiful dog. Somehow, without knowing how or why, I simply knew that the dog was male. But then, just before the light turned green, the dog casually put his arm on the window ledge, and he had a hand. My jaw dropped, and the dog smirked. I thought he was chuckling, pleased with himself that he had shocked me by showing me his hand. It looked like a human hand, with fingernails, well manicured, and skin that was coal black like his hair. His arm had short black hair like the hair on a dog's front leg, but his hand was hairless. And the arm had an elbow and shoulder like a human elbow and shoulder. The light turned green, and we both drove away. I never saw the limousine or the dog again. I tried to find some kind of ape or monkey with a face like that, but no such animal exists. And of course, dogs don't have human hands, so what did I see? Now I think that the dog owned the limousine rather than being the pet of a human. From Monsters Among Us by Linda S. Godfrey.
I received another report of a strange wolf-like creature, and in this report, a husband and wife were out cross-country skiing. They had just crossed a remote country road and were about to ski across a field. On the other side of this field, they spotted an extremely large wolf standing just inside the tree line. The wolf was covered in black fur and was on all fours at this point. The woman said its height in that position was between 3 and 3.5 feet tall, and she felt uncomfortable since the creature was staring right at them and following their movement. Her husband evidently felt wary as well, as he unslung his .22 rifle from his back, loaded it, and fired in the beast's direction, aiming at the ground in hopes of scaring it off. This action did not achieve its intended effect. She said that the creature looked at the ground, then back at them, and began to growl. She said the growl went up and down, and it was very deep and menacing. She said that her husband shouldered his rifle again, but did not fire. But what really gave her the chills was the look on the creature's face. She felt the creature knew the rifle was small caliber and was not something that could kill it with one shot. Moments later, her husband fired again, and this time into a tree that was next to the creature. The creature didn't even flinch, but what it did next made them both flee in terror. About 30 seconds after the second shot, the creature stood up on 2 legs to rise to a height of between 6 and 7 feet tall. One of its front legs was against the tree that her husband shot, The growling continued, but it had increased in volume by quite a bit, and the creature was moving its jaws up and down like it was gnashing its teeth. Her husband fired 3 shots directly at the creature, all 3 hitting it in the chest. The creature let out a drawn-out scream and ran off into the forest on 2 legs. They fled the other way back towards their vehicle. As they were skiing back through a small area of forest, and they were passing through the forest, they could hear something running towards them in the distant woods. They cleared the woods without anything happening, but when they broke out of the forest, they estimated that whatever was chasing them was no more than 35 to 40 yards behind them. The next part of the tale may sound as strange as the wife's feeling that the creature was able to judge the rifle caliber as too small to hurt it. But what was reported is actually fairly commonplace in reports of Dogmen encounters. She had her cell phone with her and was thinking about using it to take a picture of the creature. As she was thinking this, she suddenly got a feeling that if she took a photograph, the creature would kill both of them. She said the feeling was so strong that she immediately shoved the phone in her pocket. It wasn't as if the creature sent her a psychic message or anything. It was just a feeling. She had actually been so scared she lost control of her bladder, even though she always thought that was just something from the movies. From American Monsters, A History of Monster Lore, Legends, and Sightings in America, by Linda S. Godfrey.
Around July 1976, in the Madera area of Clearfield County, this would have put me at 6 or 7 years old. We lived just above the town of Madera. It was very remote, few homes in that area, and very wooded. My dad would often patrol with the local officers from the Game Commission. I'm pointing this out due to the fact of how he reacted when he saw this thing. He was a big guy, and very little scared him. We often shook our heads when he would go outside at night to scare off a bear with only a pitchfork. He knew wildlife. He knew what their habits were, knew if there was going to be a problem on the farm, all of that. On this night, we were woken by a loud commotion near the front porch. We had outside cats that hung around the porch, and they would scatter when a raccoon or other animal would approach the front of the house. When they scattered, it was pretty loud, hence the noise that woke us. I remember hearing Dad give his typical angry sigh because he had to get up and see what was out there. He had gone downstairs. The house was quiet. We were all waiting to hear the door close. Instead, we heard Dad let out a bellow. That had us all running for the stairs. He was standing back from the door, gun in hand, and his face was, well, I guess I would say scared. As I said, nothing seemed to scare him, so seeing that look on his face made us all stand there, uncertain. Outside, standing in profile, looking right back at us with no fear. This thing showed no fear at all. In fact, I remember thinking that it was angry. It just looked mean. It was a canine, certainly not a dog. It looked like a hyena from the shoulders to the head. The back end was way smaller than the front, shoulders, and head. I don't remember seeing a tail. The fur was odd, sparse and shaggy, but it just didn't look like fur. It's hard to explain. The snout was not too long and narrow. It was stubby but huge. The whole body was huge. From its back end to its head, it was almost the width of our porch. This would put it at least 7 feet tall. Again, it was huge. It's still looking at us, and then looked out towards our barn, back at us again, then just simply and very slowly walked a few steps, and then it took off. It was so fast, literally, it was like seeing a blur of color, and then it was gone. We all just stood there. Then Mom asked what it was, and Dad, he yelled for us all to get upstairs. He stayed up all that night, never went outside to check the animals, never opened the door. Oddly enough, we never even talked about it. Nobody ever mentioned it again. I wish I had more information to give you. However, this does give you possible timestamp. I spent most of my life up there in that area, and it was a unique area for sure. Many things happened up there that were hard to explain, and I'm glad I moved away when I was 33. I do still live in the Clearfield area, but no more thick forest for me. Submitted by ASM from Lon Strickler's Phantoms and Monsters.